Hey guys, I just finished a stream on Twitch, and while I was streaming there, I was actually reacting to a video that I found. It's regarding some stuff that happens here in the EU, actually, at the moment. So I thought instead of just sharing with the people that watch me on Twitch, I wanted to share it with you guys on YouTube as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. I really, really do. I know it's a bit of a serious topic, so fair warning. If you don't agree with me, fair enough. Let me know in the comment section why you don't agree with me. If you like the content, at least that I'm talking about it in a sort of a hopefully semi-middle way of thinking about a lot of these things, then leave a like, leave a subscribe, and yeah, I got another couple of videos I might make about this topic specifically. Let's check it out.
Tried to take over It is anarchy in parts of Spain, France and the UK right now as migrant gangs from Northern Africa and the Middle East violently try to take over and intimidate innocent people. Spain is currently in crisis with ongoing clashes between migrant gangs and Spaniards following the violent bashing of an elderly man in Torre Pachato.
What the hell is going on here in Europe, man? It's insane.
And again in Spain, a man with a baby was callously threatened by a knife-wielding gang for simply walking down the street. And in the tourist mecca of Barcelona, the cobblestone laneways are no longer filled with people enjoying their vacations, but with hundreds of Muslim men chanting. This commentator sent a stark warning, saying, if you wanted to visit Barcelona, Spain, now it's looking like Islamabad, Pakistan. France is also in a migration mess, with violence running rampant in the streets, like at the Fête de la Musique last month, where hundreds of young people were stabbed with syringes and property set alight.
I remember when Paris won the Champions League final, and you saw the pictures of France. Like, I'm sorry, but this is not the Europe that I'm used to knowing anymore. This is not it. Like, yeah, we celebrate. We used to go. Don't get me wrong. We used to go hard. We celebrated hard. We drank a lot of alcohol, and there's a lot of fireworks and stuff like that. I've seen the stuff online from back when, before when I was a little bit younger. But this is not the Europe I'm used to knowing anymore. It's not. And it's a little bit sad, a little bit scary. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie.
Online commentators were in shock with the footage, with this person saying, "This is France? This looks like Ghana, not France." And 2 women were left injured and terrified after their car was surrounded and destroyed by rioters following the PSG
and that's this episode.
Champions League victory.
And this is exactly the clip I was talking about before. This is not okay. Like, I don't care about who you are, where you're from. If it was the same, I was gonna say the same thing as goddamn Frenchman doing this. You don't do this. This is not okay. Gotta be honest with you. When the hell are our politicians gonna wake up and actually do something against this? I don't know. Hopefully soon. Denmark has had some really strict laws against refugees. We're still getting more and more. I don't care where you're from. If you do stuff like this, if you're from America, if you're from, for that matter, France, Spain, Norway, Pakistan, Japan, doesn't matter. If you're acting like this, you should be thrown out of the country wherever you are. Like, I don't want people in my country that does this. People that are already here, that are Danish nationalists and so on like that do these things, they should be punished. Of course they should, but we can't send those out. They're a product by ourselves. But people that come here as a refuge and do these things.
In the UK, the situation is even more dire, with daily occurrences of violent bashings and stabbings by migrant groups on innocent local victims.
Yeah.
Knife crime is at an all-time high, with people being randomly targeted on the streets.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Give the play back to you, mate. I'm cheering again. Let's go! Let's go! You're not going to use the play. You're not going to use the play. You're not going to use the play. You get up, play.
Women's advocacy group Women's Safety Initiative is speaking up about the issue to raise awareness about the dire state of play in the UK at the moment.
The silent impact of mass migration on women's daily lives in the UK is a stark reminder of the point that we have got to in this country. A country that has chosen multiculturalism over assimilation, ultimately leading to what we have now. Parallel communities with limited cross-cultural understanding. Let's take a look at Ballsby Green, one of the most dangerous areas you could possibly live in Birmingham, with 181 crimes per 1,000 residents, and a large portion of these crimes being of sexual and violent offences.
Okay, so of course I'm not a woman, so I can't talk about this at all. But I can talk about the fact that the crimes have gotten so massive. Now, what can piss me off sometimes is the fact that, at least in Denmark, I don't know how the laws are around the rest of Europe. At least in Denmark, we're not even allowed to carry pepper spray. We're not allowed. Which is stupid for multiple reasons. It's not illegal. If you use pepper spray because you're scared, there's probably usually a good reason for it. And I gotta be honest with you, the reason why they took it away back then was because they saw an uptick in injuries, or I think it was injuries or crimes or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, injuries are gonna happen more often because, you know, there might be sometimes a mistake. A mistake might happen. But I would rather see 20, 30 mistakes more, if that's the case. Even 100 more, if that can take away maybe half, even 25% of the rapes or sexual assaults that is happening, or just any assault. You know, women is one thing. Don't get me wrong, I get that. But even men, right? Men get targeted just walking home from bars, getting jumped by groups as well. Everybody needs protection now more than ever, which is just a sad part of.
Now let me make it clear: the demographic of this ward is significant. Less than 10% of this ward account for white British people. Violence and sexual offences constitute the largest crime category in Ballsby Green, making up 50.3% of all crimes reported. They are averaging at about 150 to 160 violent sexual offences committed every month.
And commentator Matt Goodwin agreed.
So a 24-year-old man has been brutally murdered on the streets of London, outside a luxury hotel, by another man who was allegedly trying to steal his watch. This is merely the latest horrific symbol of how out of control and horrific London has become. Just look at the stats. Shoplifting is up 54%, theft from the person is up 41%, 70,000 phones were stolen from people in this city last year alone. There's a...
That actually happened to me. When I used to live in London, so I used to work in London and I stayed there for about two and a half years. 2.5 years. I was actually just walking on the way to work. I had my phone in my hand, was just walking on the way to work. Somebody just drove up next to me on a motorbike or scooter and grabbed it out of my hand and just ran off with it. Happened all of a sudden. And they were, of course, not able to find it, right? This is a serious thing, and it's not okay. It's not okay that our cities are now not safe anymore. It's not okay that men are just getting punched down on the streets when things happen and everything.
Rape every hour, sexual offences are through the roof, and it's not just the crime that bothers me. London has also become a symbol for liberal progressives of how they'd like to see the rest of the country. But do you really want the rest of the country to look like London? Hundreds of thousands of people who don't speak English, our national language, hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants, hate marches on the streets of our capital city every week, pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah hate marches.
And all of this stark evidence and footage of countries overrun by violence and division, yet their governments and leadership do absolutely nothing. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer seems to be more concerned about protecting the illegal migrants than protecting his own people. Reform UK's Zia Yusuf slammed the Prime Minister for his incompetence on the issue.
It's all garbage. No one's listening, which is why his approval ratings have collapsed at historic speed. Look, there's north of 1.2 million people here in this country.
It doesn't matter. Like, that's the thing. It does not matter who's in charge of any country anymore. Nobody gives anything about the actual people in the country anymore. Nobody. Everybody's just complaining about, we want to change this and stuff like that. And I saw that they wrote some state governments officials, state heads, they wrote a letter to the human rights to try and say, hey, these are outdated, maybe we should change them. How about leaving until they've changed instead of waiting? I mean, nothing's going to happen technically. If you leave the human rights stuff, you can do a bill in your own country afterwards. Not like everybody's going to stop trading with you, technically. I get why they're there, don't get me wrong, but still, doesn't matter. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's doing anything. They're just talking about how better we can be at figuring out who actually did the crimes instead of actually stopping the crimes happening.
Illegally already, they are crossing the channel illegally at record numbers, right? So things aren't not improving fast enough. They are getting demonstrably worse every single week. And the only way we're going to solve this problem, Mike, and restore a social contract that is hanging by a thread in this country is by deporting every single one of those 1.2 million people who are here. We need to be standing up enormous amounts of detention capacity. We need huge numbers of charter flights. We need return agreements with countries to take these people back. And if they don't take them back, we need to be doing things like stopping issuing visas altogether. We need to be scrapping the foreign aid.
So I will agree with him about the foreign aid stuff as well, and about the deals that needs to be made. The one thing that I want to have done differently compared to, let's say Trump, for example, is the fact that I want there to be due process. Like, there has to be due process if you're here illegally and you have been, set to be sent home. Then you need to be sent home. Otherwise, that's what needs to be happening. But there still needs to be due process. Can we talk about cleaning up the rules so everything can happen a bit faster? 100%. But there still has to be due process. You still have to take the case. You still have to look at a person. But once they are set for deportation, they should be sent home. And if you do a crime worse than a speeding ticket or a parking ticket, like if you do murder, if you do sexual assaults, if you do robberies, anything like that, that should be an automatic termination. That should be done. There should not be any leeway there, in my opinion.
Starmer's latest humiliation, his deal with Emmanuel Macron of France over illegals, which commentators believe will have absolutely no impact on fixing the current issue.
As far as their main kind of policies go, one of them they bang on about because of that ridiculous, ludicrous summit Le Summit, as we called it here, between Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer. They seem to think that finding some form of middle ground and finding an agreement on stopping the migrants is going to stop them. Well, it isn't. They've now got the idea, Yvette Cooper has, that they're going to send some people back to Iraq. I'll believe it when I see it. Nothing of what they do works.
No one is going to go back to Iraq because even if they have a returns deal, the European Convention of Human Rights in its court will interfere and prevent that deal from being enacted.
Yep. And in a shock move, French reports indicate that France is now giving all Palestinians in Gaza the opportunity to apply for asylum. This commentator revealed the news, saying a French court has ruled that all people from Gaza can apply for asylum in France. That is 2.1 million people that can come to Europe. Not only that, because of freedom of movement, they could potentially travel anywhere in the EU once inside France. Sounds like a bad idea. And whilst the leaders of Europe refuse to do anything, the people have taken things into their own hands to send a message that this will not be tolerated. Spaniards have also had enough and are responding with violence.
So I don't condone the violence part. I don't. I do condone the marching and protesting parts. The violence part, I'm not condoning at all. But I do condone that the public is actually stepping up now. It's happening in Greece. It's happening in, well, Italy. They had a nice election for that side, so that shit is also happening. You have it for France. You have it for Spain, right? These countries have gotten enough, and as a whole, the problem for me with this is literally the fact that we are playing by a set of rules. Western world is playing by a set of rules that a lot of other countries are not playing by, right? So when we get migrants up here, we are playing by a set of rules. They're not playing by the same set of rules because the human court, or whatever it's called, they won't allow us to send these people back no matter what they do. Right? There's been cases about people literally doing 7 crimes, being caught by the police, being told you're going to be deported, but then because they have 1 kid in Denmark, or wherever it could be, they can't be sent back. And he knows that, so he's just going to keep doing crime, because we can't send them out. How is that fair for the public of the Western world? It's not. And that's my whole point about this. There needs to be a change now. It's not okay. We keep playing by certain rules. We keep doing what we're supposed to do. We keep helping in some of the ways that we're helping with foreign aid and all this stuff. We've gotten to a point now where if they don't want our help, then don't give our help anymore. I don't want to. Why should we? Why do we keep sending millions and millions of foreign aid to other countries when they won't play by our rules? Right? It's the same with Afghanistan. Technically, you can take that as an example. If you support it or not, I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole different side story. But after America drew troops out of Afghanistan, took what, less than a day before the Taliban took over? Even though we had actually trained up people, we had actually given them stuff to fight back against, less than a day. They don't want it badly enough. Right? We had our revolutions here in Europe. We fought the kings, we fought the queens, we overthrew the palaces and stuff like that. Well, at least that happened in some places. Other places, we had to change, right? We've had our fight, and we've decided we want to live like this. They unfortunately have had other things happen, and I'm not going to get into why and where, and I get it, you have kids you don't want to die for. I get that. But if you want something hard enough, and you think something bad enough, then you will get it at some point. It's all about keeping the fight up. We can't keep helping them. We can't make that decision for them anymore. We can't. And when they then come here and they bring their, in my opinion, bad habits with them and want us to change for their environments so they fit in better, that's the wrong idea. That's where everything falls apart for me. Yeah, see, this I don't condone. I don't condone this. I don't condone this at all. I don't condone this. I don't condone this at all. But this is literally what happens when aggression is one of the things that happens when you feel like you can't do anything. And that is where Europe is starting to become. Like, the normal people in Europe are starting to look at this and go, I can't do anything else. I've given power to the people. I've voted for people that has certain ideologies that I align with when it comes to immigration, for example. But nothing is happening. Nothing. There are still boats coming over every day. from Africa, and there's still boats for that matter for Britain because they were mentioning this point, coming from France every day, every single day. The politicians are doing nothing, and it's the common people that are paying the bills. It's the common people that are now having to wait longer for a hospital. They're having to pay more in taxes because of certain things that needs to be taken care of now. I mean, Britain have migrant hotels that are living better than some of the elderly, I would say. They're even living better than some of the youth that are homeless because they can't afford places to live. And this is what happens. Not condoning it, not in any way condoning the violence here. But this is what happens when leaders don't listen to the public and the public all of a sudden feel we can't do anything, right? They're also looking at the migrants or the migrants that are not playing by the rules. I'm not going to say all the migrants because some people are doing a great job. And I don't migrants at all. Right? I have been a migrant technically, if you say that, twice. I lived in the US and lived in London, so the UK. But you just keep seeing these people that are not following the rule of law, and they are not getting punished as they should be. So now people are taking matters into their own hands. They don't feel empowered in their own country anymore. They don't feel that the justice is there in their own country.